Yo, what's up, people? What's up, people? Back again for another video. I told myself that I was going to start making more videos on YouTube. So here we at it. Welcome, everybody who is subscribed to my channel. Welcome back. And for others who are looking to subscribe to the channel, press that little button down there so we can get it on and popping. My name is Joshua Tree. And for those who know me and for those who don't know me, for those who do know me, you know how I get down. And for those who don't know me, then here's your introduction. So who is Joshua Tree, right? I can go all day with that story. But for now, know that I am a spiritual teacher. So I'm known for my spiritual teachings. I'm known for my energy healing. So I provide energy healing sessions to people. I do tantric healing as well, tantric energy healing. If you are located in Louisiana, New Orleans area, that's where I'm located. Let's get it popping. Let's do a session together. Let's see if we can connect. Let's see if I can help you and you can help me and we can help each other. If you are around the world, it doesn't matter where you at. You could be in Rome, you could be in London, you could be in Africa. In terms of my energy healing services, they do wonders, and I have worked with people all around the world. So if you're interested in that, I will put a link in the description and we can stay in contact, or you can reach out and see what we can do. So you're probably noticing something different. I have this microphone, so I'm, updated. I updated my technology. So just kind of testing it out, you know what I'm saying? See how it is. I think for the most part it's pretty loud. So I'm gonna try to keep it right here. You feel me? But it's a little razzle dazzle, you know what I'm saying? A little something something just to get the crowd moving. But I'm like at 30% of battery power, so we're gonna have to get through this video pretty fast. And so with this video, let's just go ahead and get it started because you know how I like to do. Go straight to it. It's good to breathe. This video, we're gonna talk about there's no such thing as ego death. There's no such thing as ego death. So I want to bring more clarity to that and hope you guys resonate with the message. And so let's begin. All right. So we all know what the ego is to some degree, right? We know that it's an entity. We know that it's a personality. We know that it is a part of us that's constantly telling us this and that and the third is ruling our actions. We know that the ego, you can have an unhealthy ego, a healthy ego. We know that the ego is when letting them most people are being ruled by, right? There's various different things about the ego. I might go more in depth on another video, but that'll be a whole nother video because it'll be too much to explain. But in a nutshell, we can say that it is a part of us, and it's an entity that's a part of us that we share together, right? And so the reason I wanted to bring this video up or talk about this topic is because I hear a lot of people talk about ego death. You can't you There's no such thing as ego death. The only way that the ego truly dies if the body dies. So I'm just going to bring a little bit more clarity and detail because I think what people are really saying is they had an identity crisis and it took an identity shift. So what I'm realizing what I'm realizing is that when people say they had an ego death, what they're really saying is they had an identity shift. All right. So we're going to go more in detail on what I'm talking about. So let's get it started. I feel like I'm kind of choppy on my words today. I need to loosen up some. Uh, uh, uh. Ah, gotta do one of them. You know what I'm saying? Gotta do one of them. Gotta get right quick. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the real chill mode today. I've been in a lot of my yin energy today, so I'm not, I'm just kind of in a chill vibe right now. I ain't gonna hold you. But let's get it started, right? So let's talk about identity crisis. Let's first talk about that, right? I feel like this is disturbing me, so let's take that bad boy off. Identity crisis, right? So let's talk about the definition of identity crisis. And I got my handy dandy notebook right here, so you already know how to do. Identity crisis is an event or an experience you are going through that is creating a big change. And as a result, you start to question your sense of self. That's what identity crisis is, right? And so when most people say they're going through an ego death, they're going through a massive change that's about to shift them out of the current identity that they've been identifying with for the past few years, a few months, a few weeks, or however long. They're no longer identifying with that particular energy, that particular identification. And so it feels like it's an ego death, quote unquote. Let's go a bit deeper. So if you're going through this massive change, why do you question your sense of self? That's the big question. Why would you question your sense of self? The reason why you question your sense of self is because through all your years, your adult years, maybe even your childhood years, you've been telling yourself that you're this particular person. You've been telling yourself that I am this and I am that, and no one can change me. No one can tell me who I am. This is who I am, and I know who I am, and I know myself, or whatever the case. Give you an example of that, right? In my what is called Dark Night of the Soul, right? I went through an experience that was very traumatic. Very traumatic. I didn't know who I was, right? Um, and what I mean by that is for a long period of time, since maybe high school to when I was like 27, 28, right? Saturn return and all that good stuff. I was called by the name called Black Josh. That was my name, Black Josh. In the hood where I'm from, that's what they used to call me. Now, who is Black Josh? Let me give you a description on who this identity was that I was identifying with. Black Josh was the person who had all the girls, had the fly whips, I had all the clothes, had all the shoes. I'm nice with the women. I had a great job, right? I'm into fashion. I was rapping around the time, I was living my life, you know what I'm saying? And this Black Josh is what the whole hood know me as. And so you know when I got to this point in my life when I turned 28 years old, I no longer identify with that. I no longer identify with that energy. When I went through that traumatic experience, I could not even identify what it was or what it is to be called Black Josh. I felt completely different on the inside. Keyword inside. I felt internally different on the inside that I could not identify with this particular energy because my internal world changed significantly. So what I, you know, accredit the Dark Night of the Soul for giving me that type of experience. Most people say in Dark Nights of the Soul is dealing with an ego death. It's going through this massive transformation as if you're going through some type of ego death. And so that is kind of like in a nutshell when someone is losing a part of themselves that they no longer identify with, and then they'll say, I had an ego death. But in reality, in my example, I had an identity crisis. I could no longer identify what it was that I told myself for years who I was. I became something else, right? And so it took a shift in energy. But now this is what makes it so interesting. You can't call this an ego death because that person, Black Josh, I can still call on that energy right now if I want to. Remember, energy doesn't die. It's not created nor destroyed. It's just transformed or transferred. So I can call on that energy called Black Josh. I can re-identify with that energy called Black Josh because I know it so well. All I gotta do is go back in my memory bank and recall the energy and act in that particular energy, and then I become that person again. So when we say we having an ego death, we're really saying we having an identity crisis, and that identity that we are choosing not to identify with anymore, we can always call back to that particular energy. I can feel Black Josh still in me, but I don't give it no energy. That's the difference. That's why they might call it an ego death. It's because you're not giving it no more life. And so if you don't give something life, then what happens? It dies, right? But what was really happening, because just like I said, nothing dies. You just don't put energy into that particular identification or that particular entity anymore. You don't put no energy into it. So it ceased its existence, right? And so that's what happened with me. You know what I'm saying? I stopped identifying with Black Josh and wanted to have all the girls and have sex with all the girls and buy all these clothes and shoes. I stopped worrying about all that. Now, so yeah, so let's just fast forward. And um, so when we say that, I had an ego death, no, you did not have an ego death. You had an identity crisis that created a different identity that you are now identifying with, because let's just say internally you have a vibrational change, then you want to have an identity that's conducive to that internal change, right? Like, you're not going to be around here talking about where the girl is at and where the shoes and, yeah, I'm about to go cop this and I'm about to do this and I'm about to do that, if you don't feel like that inside yourself. You know what I'm trying to say? Did y'all just see that thing, this move? It must be the spirit tonight, player. Anyway, so the energy, like I said, the energy cannot die. It can't die. I know if everyone who's listening to this video, I'm pretty sure there's a version of yourself that you can recall that you do not identify with anymore. But if you choose to live back in that energy, you can do it. You feel me? So let's move forward from that. So, in a nutshell, this sense of self, right? The ego doesn't know what it is. So it's going to try to identify with every single thing around it and inside of it. Meaning, it doesn't know that it's not an arm. It doesn't know that it's not a leg. Like, it's going to try to find something to say, this is what I am. Yes, I'm Joshua Tree. This is who I am. Now I know what I am. The ego doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know what it is. So it convinces you that this is who we are. And don't get it twisted. You need to have an ego. Why would you want to kill off your ego? Why would you want to do that? The only reason why you say you want to kill off your ego is because your ego is unhealthy. And so you say, I got to kill off this part of myself because I can't do anything in life. I just feel like my ego's taking charge. It's unhealthy. But what does a healthy ego look like? If you want to be the greatest basketball player in the world, let's say Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player in the world. He had to have a lot of ego to develop that particular type of status. So you can use your ego to become one of the greatest players or greatest whatever that you want to be in existence. That don't sound too bad to me. That actually sounds pretty good. That actually sounds very productive. That sounds actually healthy. That sounds like that's an energy I will want to be around. But most people are into the unhealthy aspects of the ego. And so that's the part they want to rid. But you're just shifting a polarity even within the ego itself. The ego is dualistic. So you're just shifting a polarity. So understand that, right? And so let's move forward from that, right? Um, and so yeah, so like I said, so when you're shifting into this identity shift, right? You're shifting into a new identity, right? What's really going on is you are starting to embody a heightened version of yourself. So if I was a person named Black Josh who used to be into all these girls and putting all my energy into girls and shoes and clothes and, just doing a lot of frivolous things, which, obviously it's not frivolous because I did it, but now I'm this on a different path to where that just doesn't sit with me anymore. So you get the drift. If I was doing those things and now I'm no longer doing those things, the reason why is because what I am choosing to identify with now is something that is more potent within myself that I choose to try to express outside of myself. So if I don't feel like these, you know, hollering at girls all day and trying to get shoes and clothes, if I don't feel like that internally, then how can I express it? You have to feel something inside of yourself in order for you to express it. I feel completely different. Therefore, I act accordingly. I move different. I look different. I act different. Everything starts on the inside. If it starts on the inside first, then it shows on the outside. So this identity crisis to identity shift is what really is happening when people are going through different changes in their life. Now, let's go a little bit deeper so you can have an understanding of what I'm saying. What I'm saying. This is where you'll see what I'm talking about and how it's not about the external. It's all about the internal. You ever come across somebody who, let's just say, who was so deep into, I don't know, sports or like playing video games, or like someone who just could seem like he wasn't really doing that with himself. Then he reads a couple of books. He might join Islam. He might, I don't know, join Buddhism or whatever. And now he feels enlightened. So then he changes his whole appearance. He puts on a daishiki, or he puts on a Buddha robe, or he puts on I don't know, African clothes or whatever. He's wearing all these different things. And then he also acts in a particular manner that he feels is conducive to his external change. But we all know, and we have been, and people have becoming aware of that, people like that, all they did just boost their ego. There's no real change that happened on the inside. They just read a book that sounds very intellectual, and they felt like it did something to them to some type of degree. So they switched up their swag. They switched up their swag, their external appearance, but they still is the same on the inside. I've seen, and I'm pretty sure you have too, I've seen a lot of teachers or a lot of spiritual leaders or whatever you want to call it, who will put that out to the world that this is who I am, but behind closed doors they're showing a different version of themselves that's not even conducive to who they are. Now, no judgment, obviously, because I mean it don't bother me, but in terms of internal change, how massive is the internal change? Because if that internal change is not massive enough, then that external reality that you play with, that you interact with, is not going to be much of a change neither. You're still going to be the same dude. You just switch up your words, you switch up your outfit, you switch up your shoes, you switch up your facial appearance. You might decide to wear free locks and all this other stuff, but you're still the same person. You're still the same person. Spirituality is not an external thing, it's an internal thing. It's all about what's on the inside. I can rock a turban and a Buddha shirt, and I could get a bunch of tattoos. That's cool. We're not talking about you know uh we're not talking about nitpicking what people are choosing to dress their corpse with. We're talking about, at the end of the day, do you actually have an internal change that's taking place? Because that's all that fucking matters. And it's not for you to tell me if you created this internal change. It's for you to figure that shit out for yourself. Because I could care less. But it's about you. Everything is about you. Everything starts and ends with you. Right? And so that's when the ego likes to creep around and likes to make people think that they have changed. That's part of his job. That's part of the ego's tactics. It's one of his techniques. It's very great at it. It's very great at convincing you that you actually created something different. And you will believe that shit. You be like, yeah, yeah. I talked to thousands of people, and I'm known as the greatest yogi master of the world. They call me Gogukaba. Yes, my name is Gogukaba. And I have a green robe on, and it makes me feel royalty. And you, my friend, you need to gain more enlightenment to be like me. And obviously, I'm being dramatic, but that is how some people carry themselves, thinking that they created some type of change. You have to study the ego in depth. The ego is not superficial at all. The ego, the concept of the ego is very esoteric. It is very deep. And so even when you think you changed, you didn't change. It's not up for me to determine that. It's up for you to determine that. It's for you to be real with yourself, right? It's for you to be real with yourself. So on that note, let's just wrap that up. There's no such thing as ego death. The only way that the ego dies is if you die. The only way the ego dies is if the physical body stop existing. That's the only way the ego actually dies. Now, in yoga traditions, they have different perspectives. to where if you go into the heightened space, go into your heart chakra, then there will be a very minimal or to some degree non-existent ego. But like I said, it's in yoga traditions. And I would take that with a grain of salt. But I do believe in that, so I'm not knocking it. But I have had to experience that, so I can't speak so heavy on it. You feel me? But for the most part, your ego can only die when you die, right? And so you also see that in the movie The Matrix. When Neo was in a subway and it looked like he got defeated, he woke back up, he destroyed all of the Agent Smiths, right? He completely annihilated them, right? And then in the next Matrix 2, Agent Smith returned. That's because he killed a version of himself, or he created a different crisis. I'm sorry. He created a different identity shift, right? But the ego was still present. Agent Smith is the ego in the Matrix. You can't run and you can't hide. It is literally everything. It's everywhere. So the Matrix is in every god. I mean, the ego is in everything, And so that is an indicator that that the only way for that ego to stop existing is when you stop existing. So stop trying to be like, oh, I had an ego death and I feel liberated and I feel like I'm at the top. Come on, bro. Your ego wake you up every day. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, let's make it real simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even like a accolade or some type of reward for that shit. Like, I think some people actually get a high off of that, saying that I have an ego death. Like, bro, cut it out. Like, let's not do that. You're still the same person. You're still the same person. Like, you might have had like an experience with ayahuasca or a mushroom trip and you feel different, but eventually you come right back down. You do the same shit. Now, that's not for everybody. Not saying that people don't make a shift in those type of ceremonies and rituals and things like that. Listen to what I'm saying. They made a shift. The ego is still present. They made an identity shift. They made some type of internal change that as a result, now they have to change how the way they move. That don't mean they killed the ego. That just mean they just took away a part of themselves that they don't no longer resonate with. The vibration wasn't conducive to what happened in that experience, and so they had to make a massive change. Right? So you can go through an identity crisis through, let's say, some type of ayahuasca trip, or you can do it naturally without going through any of that, and you could just do it through through life. Life itself could change the shit out you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's everything I want to talk about. I want to keep this video short because I want to actually put out more videos. I want to keep these videos on at least at least under, I don't know some of my words today. My words are trippy. Under 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. If anybody have any comments, please share. Drop a comment. Let's connect in the comment section. You feel me? I would love to hear what anyone has to say about this. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I got everything I want to say. So hope a lot of that makes sense. And yeah. So I will leave my link at the bottom, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm actually trying to grow it. I'm actually trying to grow my channel. So please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on the other side, player. Peace.